Yo, sorry for the wait, but we back with episode 15 of What If Goku Was Raised by Lord Frieza. And in this episode, Kakarot is going to train with a transformed, unhinged future Trunks in the hyperbolic time chamber. Right? Goku trains with Berserk Trunks. Cue the recap. So in the last episode, Kakarot arrives on the scene to discover a female semi-perfect cell who had just absorbed Android 18. So the two trade blows for a while to test each other's battle prowess. And after a while, Cell, or as some people in my comments called her, Femcell, begins to tell Kakarot and Trunks her origin story and how she was created in a lab to be the ultimate warrior by none other than the great Dr. Gero, who designed her to absorb the twin androids to achieve perfection. Kakarot is intrigued by this revelation and decides to allow semi-perfect Femcell to absorb Android 17 because as far as he was concerned, he could care less about these humanoid iPhones. Semi-perfect Cell takes advantage of this situation and quickly overpowers and absorbs Android 17 faster than he could react and becomes perfect. And this is the design I went for the final form, and I got a lot of positive comments. So I appreciate the positive feedback, and I'm glad y'all liked it. So anyways, and after being comfortable in her perfect skin, Femcell is disappointed when Goku deactivates his Super Saiyan transformation and tells Femcell that he's too tired and will need a day to rest before they can have their final battle. And Perfect Cell allows this because Kakarot helped her achieve her goals and wants an epic battle herself with this Saiyan anyways. After escaping from earshot, Kakarot tells Trunks that his tired was an excuse and it was a bluff, and that in reality he could tell that they didn't stand a chance against this new power-up for Perfect Cell. But he had a plan. Kakarot planned to train with Trunks for a year in one day by going into the hyperbolic time chamber that he had sealed King Piccolo inside of in his very own timeline. But it didn't happen in Trunks' timeline, so they were straight. So future Bulma gives the pair of Saiyans some Saiyan armor and supplies them for their departure, and they head to Kami's lookout, which brings us on to the next episode of Goku Trains with Berserk Trunks. So let's get to it. Kakarot smirks as the lookout comes into view, ready to get stronger in a short amount of time. Kakarot waltzes into the flying sky palace and comes across Mr. Popo, who looks at the warrior as if he just saw a ghost. But Kakarot criticizes the tenant for not assisting Gohan and Trunks with stopping the androids sooner. He then walks past the Jin before he could respond, not wanting to talk to him. Mr. Popo was still as shocked at the sight of his former student Goku and wondered why he was so much colder now in his personality. Trunks pays one more glance towards the tenant and apologizes for their trespassing before he follows after Kakarot, not wanting to waste any time himself. Kakarot smiles to himself when he finds the room he was looking for, ready to improve himself in the Room of Spirited Time. He tells Trunks that this is their destination, that he's going to make a real Saiyan out of Trunks by the time this is all over as they enter the Room of Spirited Time. Kakarot asks Trunks if he's ready, and Trunks simply responds by transforming into his Super Saiyan state. Kakarot frowns at the demonstration and tells Trunks that he's getting ahead of himself in that form, so the team powers down, confused by the response. Kakarot decides to teach Trunks all his best techniques, like the death beam, for example, that he learned from Frieza all those years ago. But the hardest technique Trunks had to learn from Kakarot was the instant transmission that Kakarot had learned on the planet Yard Rat. And after a while, Trunks finally got the hang of the move and looks for Kakarot's energy signature and teleports. He arrives right in front of Kakarot, who compliments the boy on his successful progress. Kakarot then gives Trunks his first rest, and they go inside to get something to eat. Trunks then begins to tell Kakarot. Sorry about that. After Kakarot and Trunks are eating, he decides to ask Trunks who taught him how to fight. Trunks then begins to tell Kakarot about his master Gohan, who trained him to be the warrior that he is today, and that he became a Super Saiyan on the day those evil androids murdered him in cold blood after Gohan went to fight them alone to protect Trunks. Kakarot listens to the story, all too familiar with death, and inwardly wonders what his son would have been like in this alternate timeline if he had the chance to meet him. Goku then takes Trunks back into the field, ready to upgrade both of their Super Saiyan transformations. The pair light up the room of void with golden light as they prepare to train. The two clash with one another, testing the other's prowess as the aura of yellow follows them wherever they go. Kakarot trains Trunks on his agility and reaction time by blasting at him from multiple directions, in multiple angles. Then over time, Kakarot trains Trunks on how to achieve Super Saiyan 1 Grade 2, and attempts to go beyond in the process for himself. And eventually, Trunks is able to unlock new levels of his Super Saiyan 1 transformation. As the duo sweat, Kakarot decides it's time for another break from training. Trunks picks at his food as he wrestles with a thought on his mind, and Kakarot tells the boy to go ahead and spit out what's on his mind. Trunks remembers that Kakarot was able to tap into another transformation against Final Form King Cold, and wonders why he doesn't try to train in that form, as he is sure that he would be enough to defeat Perfect Cell. By the way, this form was called Super Saiyan Prime for those of you that haven't seen the previous episode. Kakarot simply tells Trunks that he's currently unable to control that transformation, and he can't even begin to train that form because it would be too dangerous for Trunks, and he doesn't want to end up unaliving his young protege. Hell, he was lucky to have enough sense to teleport off-world when Bulma tapped him on his shoulder back then at that moment. Later on, Kakarot tells Trunks that it's time to go all out on the next training mission to finish out their year's worth of time, and tells Trunks no holding back this time. The pair flip the switch and shake the room as they begin to transform into improved Super Saiyans. They flare their auras to the max, wanting to push it to the limit. And then suddenly the blondes blitz each other in a fury of blows, each one of them looking for openings in each other's defenses. The duo battle for a while, putting on a show for the empty room as they duke it out, until suddenly Kakarot catches Trunks lacking and rushes him fist first. The punch rocks the jaw of the young adult hybrid and sends him spiraling towards the ground full speed. But Trunks is able to stabilize and catch himself just in time, only to look up to see a grinning Kakarot planning to send a full power energy wave towards his direction. Trunks is frustrated with himself as he is constantly shown to be inferior in all the fights he's had in his life. As Kakarot Blast approaches the teen seemingly in slow motion, Trunks tells himself if he was stronger, Gohan would still be alive. If he was stronger, he could have stopped Kakarot from allowing Cell to become perfect. And then suddenly a dam breaks within his subconscious mind, and the frustration of Trunks is soon replaced with anger. Trunks' failure becomes fuel for blind rage as his eyes roll back and his power begins to increase. Kakarot's blast evaporates, and he is surprised to see a Trunks in a new state and transformation. Quickly, Kakarot is able to feel the hostile aura of the Berserk boy who looks towards his direction. As the power of Trunks rises, Kakarot tries to reach out to the future warrior to calm down his rise, until suddenly Trunks rushes Kakarot at a blinding speed, taking the Saiyan veteran off guard. at a speed that he's never seen before. The blow cracks Kakarot's armor and causes blood to escape from his mouth as he is shocked by the strike. Kakarot is knocked back to see the enraged Trunks rush him like a bullet train, ready to follow up his vicious assault. Kakarot counter-rushes Trunks, understanding that the training session was over, and now it was a battle for his survival in this white room. The two battle for supremacy in the sky, and it is clear that Trunks is doing more damage to Kakarot than the other way around. But the older warrior has the advantage in technique as he battles in the sky with the new monster. Kakarot receives a devastating blow to the cheek that rattles him to the core, but counters with a haymaker of his own, putting all of his power in his fist as he chips the chin of the Berserk Trunks. Kakarot follows up his attack with a super death cannon blast that follows Trunks on his way down. The attack sends Trunks way off into the distance as Kakarot pours all of his energy into his attack, wanting to incapacitate the enraged Saiyan hybrid. Kakarot falls to his knees, exhausted, broken, and battered from the assault he received, but happy he succeeded in his plan. Until suddenly Trunks hops back up and screams as he flares his enraged aura once more to Kakarot's surprise. Kakarot knows things are bad and can't believe Trunks had all of this raw power within himself as he admires his possible executioner. Kakarot's energy is spent and Trunks' power continues to rise, and Kakarot realizes his end is probably near. Until suddenly Trunks collapses to the floor, burnt out from all his power output, leaving Kakarot surprised and relieved. As Trunks remains unconscious, Kakarot checks their time and realizes that they have just enough time to rest from their battle before they face off against the waiting Perfect Cell. Kakarot realizes that Trunks has a power within him that trumps even his own current progress in power. And he wonders what will happen when a perfect design meets a chaotic anomaly. And that's where we're going to be ending things for this episode. Be sure to like the video and comment your thoughts while subscribing on your way out. Peace.